one of the essential ingredients in my life has been having my coaching, not just doing coaching for others. And when I first started out, as I met up with my former coach for lunch a couple of weeks ago, we were recounting how I got started. And I remember going to her knowing I need someone else's eyes on what I want to do, because the way I'm looking at this potential business is through the lens of confusion, through the lens of doubt and insecurity and don't know where to start. And in sitting down with her at that time, it confirmed that the direction I wanted to go in was the correct one, given my personal story. And it also helped me put together an offer that I could come out with, an offering that people could relate to, that made sense for where I was and what they needed. An essential ingredient, friends. Have an offer, have something related to your journey that you'd love to give people. Having a coach look at that for me and then support me in what I would describe as my takeoff in business was fundamental. It was an essential ingredient. Having coaching today and ongoingly, not in the direction of nuts and bolts anymore, but in the direction of deepening my grounding. So I'm showing up and serving at a certain level of quiet, at a certain level of depth, at a certain level of understanding. That's just common sense. And yet sometimes we can be stingy with ourselves and not allow ourselves the space to experience someone else's eyes on our business direction, someone else's eyes on how we're seeing life. But it is an essential to a thriving coaching business, something that I have done for 10 years for myself. So it's not that practical isn't required within this. It is required. But however much you think you need to be involved and you need to effort and you need to sit down behind your computer and work at your stuff, oh my goodness, so much less of you is needed. As we get out of the way, as we be in our lives, as we are waiting well for the download, that feeling of inspiration, oh yeah, let's do this. As we are in that embodied experience, business takes care of itself. And that doesn't mean you don't get some direction with the nuts and bolts. But I can tell you, after working with so many people on nuts and bolts and being in coaching programs with so many people who did the nuts and bolts with me too, we were students of that. I can see that the missing link is not the nuts and bolts. That's kind of the easy part, bringing that bit together. The piece people really undervalue when it comes to having a thriving coaching business is the level of well-being they're living in and how that leaves us energetically wide open for opportunities, people, possibilities to walk through our doors where we can be of service. When our bandwidth is low, our mental bandwidth is low, because we're living in insecurity more and more, and we're living in the worry, and we're living in the stress, and we're living in the bank account, or we're living in the thinking about ourselves. How are we measuring up? How are we comparing? When we're living there, the mental bandwidth is low. And that doesn't leave a lot of room to be wide open for business, which is why I am more interested today in supporting people in experiencing that miraculous, quieter space within, where downloads are available, where direction is clear, and where we open up on a spiritual level to be of service to humanity in a bigger way. Nuts and bolts come with that. But this place of thriving, this place of having a miraculous business is so much gentler and so much more available as we take care of us first.